right, there are 6 new Steelers that will be heading to Pittsburgh hopefully sometime soon from the 2020 NFL Draft. I am pleased to be joined by Matt Williamson, a former NFL scout, and you hear him all the time on Steelers Nation Radio. To recap just some overall thoughts, Matt, on this draft class for the Steelers with only 6 picks this year. And then also I want you to take me player by player. So if you could just give me overall how you think the Steelers did in terms of getting good guys in and addressing some of their needs.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, addressing the needs. I think that's a key here. It was very needs-based drafting, and that happens when you don't have a first-round pick. And I think you can't overlook that Minka is obviously a huge portion of this draft, but so is Bush. That was part of the trade as well. So you were stuck behind the 8 ball a little bit, and, I thought they did quite well. And a trend every year with the Steelers is I generally scout these guys, but the second they get picked by the Steelers, I go, deep in to find everything I can out about the player. And I'm always impressed after the fact even more. And that's definitely the case with these players too this year.
All right, so no first-round draft pick, as we know, because of the trade with the Dolphins for Minka Fitzpatrick. So their first pick did not come until 49th overall. That was in the second round. Wide receiver Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame. What do we need to know about him other than the fact he is big, he is fast, and he's really physical?
And I think most years, because of his traits, he's a first-round pick. There's just so many wide receivers this year, you get the luxury of taking him in the middle of the second. The things I really stressed with him is when you're building a receiving core, there's a common theme. Make it like a basketball team. I want a big center. I want a power forward. Then I'm going to go all the way down the line to get different shapes and sizes. And he's a really good blend to me between Ebron and Washington. He's something they didn't have before. He can be the deep threat, but he's also really good after the catch. He can do some tight end things for you. I know he wants to be called a wide receiver, but that doesn't mean he can't block a linebacker here and there. And a huge key for me with Claypool is very good special teamer, very good blocker, which doesn't mean much on the surface, but just shows that he's tough and he's willing to do the dirty work, which I bet they love about him.
Yeah, I had a chance to catch up with Brian Kelly, his head coach in Notre Dame, and he said he will do whatever you ask him to do, not just special teams. If you need him to clean up, he'll do that too. So the Steelers' second pick was 102 in the third round, and that was a linebacker, Alex Highsmith out of UNC Charlotte.
Yeah, and I thought the third outside linebacker position wasn't the biggest need on the team, but it was the biggest hole on the team. So it's always a very expensive position to go acquire. So this is a very economic move to me. I think he needs to get a lot stronger, but highly productive, an ascending player. I mean, he's only played in the line of scrimmage for 2 years now. So he was very small when he got to college, keeps growing, keeps getting closer to the line of scrimmage. So I think his best football is yet to come.
All right, next with pick 124, this is 4A for the Steelers. They had 2 in the 4th round. Running back Anthony McFarland Jr. out of Maryland. And I am assuming, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, he's different than what they have in the running backs room, which is similar to what you were saying about Claypool.
Very much so. And first of 2 Maryland players. And in these strange times, I think that's important because they have very strong coaching ties to that university. And Coach Tomlin's son attends that university. So you get all the inside intel on McFarland and Brooks, which I think is key in considering how the scouting process went this year. And you're right, he's different. He is highly explosive. He's not little, but he's short. He's thicker. He's flat out fast. He hits a hole with aggression. Played pretty much the entire last season with a ripped up ankle. So it's a little bit of an unfair eval to look at him in that regard. I think he's got upside as a receiver, very different than Connor and Snell.
Okay, 4B, pick 135 for the Steelers. They went with an offensive lineman here, Kevin Dotson out of Louisiana, Ike Taylor's alma mater.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when they made this pick, I knew the name, but I didn't know a lot about him because he wasn't invited to the combine, which makes no sense. I mean, because he should have gone higher. He is a very experienced guard, played over 800 snaps in each of the last 4 years. better in the run game, but somewhat of a masher, really strong hands, has a little bit of stiffness to him, as you would expect for, a guard taken in this neighborhood. But I think he's more plug and play than people realize. And people are going to love his personality. Grew up a huge Steelers fan, and he has that butt-kicking mentality that this town's going to like.
Yeah, you could tell we did a quick conference call with him. I think it was maybe 5 minutes, and you definitely got that impression from him. And then he tweeted out a video just in his family's Steelers fan cave downstairs in the basement that looked pretty legit, almost like he was in Pittsburgh, but he's not. All right, so now round 6, pick 198. This is the other Maryland player you were talking about, safety Antoine Brooks.
Yeah, and I think he's closer to Mark Barron than he is a traditional safety. He's got a big body for a safety, does his best work close to the line of scrimmage, had a lot of reps as a slot coverage player this year, really good blitzer, explosive tackler that can be a little out of control with his tackling at times and miss here and there, but a tough guy that should absolutely help on special teams. Go look at his highlight reel. You'll be impressed. He's all over the field.
All right, the Steelers' final pick also on defense. This was pick 232 in the 7th round. They went with defensive tackle Carlos Davis, who is a twin out of Nebraska. And Kevin Colbert said they actually interviewed the twin brothers together prior to the draft. His brother, though, did go before him in this draft.
Yeah, and as you would have guessed, the brothers are very similar. They both were exceptional track and field athletes, and they were throwers, discus and shot put guys. And you see that because they're very, very explosive, twitched up athletes that you could see excelling in track and field, and did really well in Nebraska and that as well. As a football player, he gets off the ball extremely well, but he's got a lot of work to do with technique, using his hands. They played a 3-man front in Nebraska, and he was more of a defensive end, line up in the B gap on the outside shoulder of the guard. I don't know if the Steelers are looking at him as a nose or just figure out what to do with him as he gets here, but there's a lot to work with here with Davis.
All right, so I know you said the more and more you looked at these guys, researched them, you started to like things. So all that being said, going through all 6 picks, how do you feel like the Steelers made out this draft?
Quite well. And again, it's very position value based, and that makes a lot of sense. Some things fell in their laps. Some things didn't quite go their way in terms of what was available. But high quality players, a lot of toughness, a lot of special teams contributors. And this doesn't sound like a great comment, but it really is. I think this is a draft that might pay off heavy a year from now, 2 years from now. But I think Claypool makes an immediate contribution.
All right, Matt, thanks as always for your time. We really appreciate it.
Sure, it was fun.